But we've been talking about this for days now, and as you're here, we might as well start. Morning to you, Kylie. Welcome to XFM.
Thank you.
It's really good to see. Is this a strange time of day for you? Are you normally up and about this time of day?
In all honesty, I probably wouldn't be up if I didn't have to work right now. But yeah, work days for different TV shows and things like that.
Yeah.
Radio shows, they drag me out of bed.
Are you a morning person, though? I mean, you know.
I used to be very much a morning person, I think from working in TV years and years ago. And it was funny when I started seeing someone who wasn't a morning person at all, and I would be up at 7, 8, and he'd be saying, "What are you doing? Go back to sleep." But I'm up. So I used to be, and I'm not so much anymore. I've finally come to my senses.
Yeah, yeah. Presumably that's because of late nights, gigs, or you just don't...
Due to my insomnia half the time. Got too many things running through my head, and stay up till... I'm not doing anything exciting, just kind of pacing about and making notes. And
oh, right. How do you get over your insomnia then? Do you write stuff down all the time?
Yeah, lists.
Yeah.
Lists and lists and lists.
What is it? Shopping lists? Ideas? Songs?
Just things I have to do. I mean, when I've got a lot of work on, I'm dreadful. I try and just oversee everything, which means I bug the hell out of everyone and double check that everything's been done. So, yeah, consequently, I'm up thinking. But when I am up in the morning, it's good.
Well, it's good. You're certainly looking bright today, I must say. It must be a nightmare then if you work in the Kylie organisation. You'll get that 3 o'clock in the morning phone call. Oh, I'm wide awake now. Have you checked this? Have you checked that? Does that happen?
No, I'm not. Not quite that bad.
Listen, you brought some records in for us today to hear, and we're going to kick off with a bit of a stonker, and it's the Mighty Fine Verve. It's been a fantastic year for them.
Brilliant. I find it so amazing that they seem to have become. It might sound a bit much, but the voice of a generation. You know, everyone just loved that song so much, and I've brought in the James Lavelle remix of Bittersweet Symphony because I think it's just truly stupendous.
It is. It's an amazing version. It's in fact, it's probably my best version. But I think that whole song though just seemed to sum up, you know, soundtrack of the year for a lot of people.
Precisely. So in 10 or 20 or 30 years, when we hear it.
Yeah.
It will. Well, I just imagine we'll be thinking that was a song of our time.
Yeah.
And you know, you when you look back and see the 60s mania or 50s mania or whatever, there's a feeling that those songs belong to those people. So it's nice that was just a song that made such an impact.
Absolutely. Okay, let's hear it. This is the Verve and the James Lavelle remix of Bittersweet Symphony. Kylie on The Breakfast Show this morning. Kylie is co-hosting on XFM, and that's Money Mark. And we were just discussing about this fantastic story surrounding this bloke who started off by building a few shelves for the records of the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Ends up going on tour.
Yeah.
And where have I been going wrong, you see? I didn't get into DIY early.
You see, little carpentry can get you a long way.
Didn't do Harrison Ford any harm, did it? So, this talk about, you know, leading up to where we are now. Tomorrow you're off home to Australia for how long?
About 10 days.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Is that a rest period or work
It's
period?
work, basically, but I've managed to squeeze a couple of days beforehand just to take it easy and see my family. And
recharge batteries.
Well, first few days we'll be getting over jet lag, so I'll be no good to anyone.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm very kind of naive on all this. I've never flown or been anywhere near Australia, even though I've got relatives there. 24 hours?
It's a long...
That's a long time.
It's a hellish flight, but it's definitely worth it when you get there. I wasn't there for Christmas, so I've kind of missed it.
Will it include some beach time for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
I'm hoping to get to a place called Byron Bay, if anyone's ever been there. It's just gorgeous rainforest beach. It's fantastic.
Is that your favourite location?
It's one of the most beautiful places, yeah.
So last year, by your standards, I would guess, it was quite a quiet year, wasn't it, really? Couple of singles?
Perhaps. It might have seemed quiet. There was a lot going on that wasn't public, if you know what I mean. And the continuous delays with the album was driving me mad. You know, I had... we'd all expected it to be out in September, and then one delay led to another delay, which led to another delay. So I was pretty busy, but all I have to show for it is those 2 singles from last year, and I'm really looking forward to the album coming out in March. It'll be a great relief.
So you were working away at recording and doing the album stuff. It's just that your public face was quiet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it took 2 years to make the album, so in that time I guess I was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But furrowing deftly away.
How easy is the recording process for you? Do you find it a difficult exorcism, to put it another way, or does it come quite naturally?
Strangely enough, I found it really easy. And I keep thinking, why? There must be something wrong. Because it was my first time writing songs like this, and I didn't know if I could do it or what I would write about, or how you go about it. I just thought, well, I'll try it, and certainly didn't think that I would end up doing as much as I did. I thought I might co-write a couple of tracks or whatever, dip my toes in the water. And as it turns out, I got so into it, and that part was the easiest part. Then you get into the whole record company drama and marketing this and that and delays, and all of that became a bit of a nightmare. But the actual making of the album was trying at some points, but basically just a great experience. I learned a lot, and in a way it was a slight exorcism sometimes, just in what I wrote about subconsciously. Sometimes it was, I didn't think about what I was doing, I just tried to get that emotion on paper, and then afterwards, like the next day or whenever, you look back at it and think, oh my god, that's what was going through my head. Oh,
was that a kind of a gut feel rather than anything kind of premeditated?
Yeah. As I say, I didn't know what I would do, so I guess the only conscious or mental note I made to myself was to try to not think about what I was writing and just write it. So I just had a notebook I carried around everywhere, and there was bits of serviettes or whatever I had to make a note on was shoved in this book.
People's sleeves.
Yeah, give me
Here
that.
comes Kylie. Oh God.
Duck. Yeah, so I was just writing everywhere and being quite ruthless in absorbing influences or inspiration from wherever. Travel, people, music.
Traffic and travel. XFM.
My eyes, you look
That's Kylie from the brand new album. And in fact, it was the first single off that album last year, although I'll admit that I got that wrong because I thought it was the Did It Again, which I got that wrong. And I'm sorry about that. Now then, if you'd like to call, 0171 580 2000 or 0171 580 1234 is the fax number. We've had a couple of calls in. I think that sounds incredibly Rolling Stones, that record.
It's quite surprising, isn't it? Even, I mean, I've heard it 7 million times, but sometimes when the intro comes in, I do find myself saying, "Oh, I can't believe this is my record."
Sounds to me like that doo-doo-doo-doo Heartbreaker record that they did, and co-written with James Dean Bradfield.
Yep.
Talk about that. Writing with him.
Well, it was a little different to the rest of the album. I just met with him at his place and took over a bunch of lyrics and gingerly handed some over, and you know, sometimes it's still a little bit embarrassing giving lyrics over because you think, oh my God, I hope they don't think I'm a total idiot. And so I gave him a bunch and he took them away and wrote 2 songs for me. One of them being Some Kind of Bliss and another one on the album called Don't Need Anyone, which actually was lyrically a co-write with Nicky Wire and produced by James Dean Bradfield and Dave Herenga.
So how did you meet up with those guys in the first place? When did you get to become mates with the Manics?
I hate to admit it wasn't my idea. I think it happened over a beer and I wasn't present at the time. So, I think it was a conversation between James and a guy from a record company. And as it turned out, they had approached me, the Manics had approached me or tried to approach me in 91 to record a duet with them, which of course in those days I was lucky enough to know what my next record would be, so I never heard about it. So the fact that 6 years later we were working together and I performed with them at Brixton Academy and all of that was fantastic. It kind of made a complete circle of this history that I didn't know existed. I didn't know they'd wanted to work with me. And
it's interesting, isn't it? Because you were almost a different person then in 91, weren't you?
Yeah, so I find
musically, certainly.
It's kind of the same with Nick Cave. He, for a few years, had wanted to do something with me. So I'm just
he's adored
extremely
you for
touched
ages.
by that.
Well, that's great, isn't it? Because you and Nick Cave are big buddies, aren't you now?
Yeah.
You know, big buddies.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I think along with the Manics too, he's adored you from afar for many years and wanted to get involved. And he's whenever you read anything about Nick Cave, in virtually everything he mentions you. What is it about you?
Sometimes he would say to me, "Oh God, I've been talking about you again," and he keeps making his stories get more and more elaborate and making out like he's more and more obsessed with me. And I ended up doing the same in my interviews because I think it was just such. If it was anything for him like it was for me, it was such an experience. I just can't imagine my life without that song and without working with him because it meant so much to me, obviously on a professional level, but more importantly, personally, to meet him and work with him and learn from him.
But how aware of you were? How aware of like the birthday party and the bad seeds were?
Not very.
Right.
Same with Manics. I don't really know that much about their history, which, you know, is dreadful. I should not work with me because of that. But maybe it's something that does make a collaboration interesting.
Absolutely, because you come from, it's a polemic, isn't it? You come from totally different.
Well, I tried to speed read a biography on Nick Cave before working with him. So, of course, I learnt a whole lot about that time. And I was thinking, oh, my God, just don't let my parents get hold of this. They'll be getting nervous. As it turns out, my mum loves Nick. And he loves her. He thinks she's very, very sweet.
Well, I'm sure that mothers everywhere probably love Nick Cave, I'm sure. Because when
he's so lovable.
But when he does that crooning stuff, you know, it's fantastic, you know.
Oh, it's the whole... What was funny as well is that I met him the day that we recorded Where the Wild Roses Grow. And then we had done a few performances together. So it was all very gentle and very sweet. And I still hadn't seen him perform live. So then I saw his show and my jaw just dropped. I was so blown away, you know, when he and the Bad Seeds are doing Mercy Sea and just his body language. Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Powerful stuff. We've had some calls. 13-year-old Laura Davis from Morden wants to know why the change in style and look.
Why? I'm constantly at it. There's no stopping me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always difficult for me to explain because for me it seems totally normal to be changing. I think it's one of the most exciting things in life is change and the things that you don't know, things that you're yet to encounter or experience. And I guess from the public's point of view, 2 years might pass where they don't really see much of me. And so then the image they're presented with seems like a complete change. But, you know, living with yourself every day, it seems perfectly normal. I just, it's a way of stopping myself from getting bored. If I had to choose one way of being and be that way, I think it would be really difficult. I'm just a
It's a very natural evolution anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's amazing is that I've been accepted that way, you know.
Yeah.
It's not something that's normally done, so I'm really appreciative that people have allowed me to grow up. And you know, it's been 10 years. Some people still expect me to walk in and be, you know, they think Charlene's going to walk in with a wrench in her hand or something. Yes, I'm 30 this year.
Ooh.
So
I wonder how that makes the whole of London. Did you hear that? The whole of London there just went. Is it true? This is from Carl in Tooting. No, sorry, Carl in Southgate. Is it true you're going to do a duet with Danny?
Carl, where did you find that information? No, there's no plans for anything like that. I guess we've thought for years it would be quite fun to do something, but we've both been quite determined to have separate identities, as difficult as it is. You know, maybe one day, but there's definitely no plans.
Right.
At the moment.
How often do you guys get together? Do you see each other much?
Maybe a couple of times a week.
Really?
Depends.
That's
I mean,
good.
she does a lot of travelling and I do a lot of travelling, but if we're both here, we'll try and catch up and, you know, go have dinner or go to the movies or something.
Yeah. Just sister stuff.
Sister stuff.
Nothing wrong with that. Right, 9:20. This is the XFM Breakfast Show, 104.9, London's only alternative. And today we have...
104.9.
Don't blame me just because I'm bored. I'm needy. I need to taste it all. Don't doubt me just because I am quiet. I'm thinking about it. Oh, I'm helpless about the way I'm being. I'm thinking about it. Oh, I'm salty, everything inside. I'm looking in the space this time, this void. I'm making my way through the muddy minutes. The bullets in my muscle, the ache is in my bones. It's hard to be alone. Breathe. It won't be long now for me. Breathe. It won't be long now for me. Breathe. It won't be long now for me. See through me when I put up a fight like you. To see the things I had go deeper, then I will let you know I'm frightened, but I won't let it show. I'm helpless about the way I'm being. I'm thinking now, breathe. Hey, it won't be long 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 now, breathe.
New single from Kylie. It's out on the 2nd of March. 9th of March. Thank you very much. That's Breed. It was the... that's gone back a week.
Yeah. You were right.
Delays. You see, they're still plaguing you. They're still plaguing you. The single is called Breathe, and it was the single of the week on The Breakfast Show last week, and by some margin, actually. You see,
So I hear. I can't believe it.
well, this is it. I mean, we were saying earlier on, okay, you talked about the... Oops, I've dropped your pen.
Oopsie.
You talked about the Manics, you talk about Nick Cave, and you know, there is this kind of like groundswell of alternative side to you, isn't there?
Mainly
Musically,
because of
I
those
mean.
people. I mean, I'm as pop as they come still, and the whole indie Kylie tag is quite funny, really. And I never called myself that, except in my video where I was greatly taking the piss. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah, it's really because of my connection with them, I think.
That's no bad thing, though, is it?
It's not a bad thing.
Do you find yourself... We were talking just briefly about... you were a different person back in, say, 1991, whatever. Do you think you're in competition with yourself these days?
In competition with myself.
What
How
you
do
were then? I mean, you sold a hell of a lot of records then, and what you are now, musically.
No, I don't really feel like that. I might have a while ago, years ago, I mean, you know, trying to kind of break out of that mold of being one, or being perceived as being one particular way. And as I mentioned before, I don't know how I did it, because it's not really allowed. You know, people pigeonhole as one thing, and you're not meant to be something else. And if I think of all the people I started out with, no one else has really had the chance. I mean, who knows what people are capable of, because most people don't get the opportunities. So somehow I busted free. I don't really feel like I'm in competition with myself. On another level, perhaps, I'm very challenging with myself, and I never really think I've done as well as I could, which drives me on
Are
to
you
do the next
insecure
thing.
like that, though? Do you find...
Oh yeah, I've
You're questioning everything.
definitely got my share of insecurities, for sure. Yeah, and I'm probably the most critical of myself as well.
But it helps to have good people around you, though, doesn't it? That can see it objectively? Or is nobody going to criticise you more than you?
I'd probably be the worst, yeah. But I have some really good friends who I know they will tell me, you know, they'll obviously try and be quite subtle and kind about it, but they will say if they think I'm heading the wrong direction, or if I'm asking their opinion on a song or different image or something. So, yeah, I've got some...
Do you
some good
consult
friends.
people quite a lot, then, on an image sort of thing or a song thing?
Yeah, it's good to have other people's opinions. And that's partly an insecurity, I guess, just to have some kind of backup, other people to say, yeah, I think it is good.
What about, you talk about in competition, I mean, there's a whole load of, since you broke out and Jason, our guest, broke out from that kind of, the soap stars become pop stars. I mean, that does seem like a lifetime ago now. But since then, everyone's at it, aren't they? And they come over, they do panto.
There's a plague.
And they're all from
You know,
the
I've never even been
Antipodes.
to a panto.
They didn't ask you to do buttons then, or Cinderella or anything. What do you think of that whole kind of scene now? I mean, do you have an opinion about it? Do you notice it much?
Well, I have to accept it. If I didn't accept it, that would be kicking myself, really. I'm just glad that I did it so long ago. My way, yeah. So no, I don't see anything wrong with it.
No. And
It is kind of funny.
I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Have you seen Madonna's new look? With
I've
the long,
seen it in pictures. Yeah, I think she
straggly
looks fantastic.
bit of Alanis Morissette kind of influence going on there, I reckon.
Perhaps. I just think she looks fantastic. Absolutely, so much more secure in herself at the moment.
Baby's beautiful.
Stunning.
Natalie? In
Natalie?
Bruglia, who I
Another beautiful girl.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. I've met Natalie a few times and met her a number of years ago. So it's fantastic. She's doing so well.
You don't feel like she's stolen the crown?
No, I've listened to her album, and it's so different to what I would do. It doesn't take much for people to make or to put you in the same boat if you're both Australian.
I was going to say, there's that pigeonhole again, isn't it?
Yeah, precisely.
Louise? Louise from
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like.
Do you know Louise? Do you hang out? Are you
no,
mates?
I've met her. I have met her. What am I supposed to say?
I'm just interested because you kind of blazed the trail and they've all come in your wake, you see, and I'm kind of interested to get your reaction onto how they're dealing with what you've already been through.
You'd have to ask them. I only know as much about them as you or anyone else in here knows. And
right.
I just think what I'm doing and what they're doing, yes, there's obvious comparisons, and but I don't really feel like they're following me or.
No, don't feel in competition with them particularly.
No, I mean, in a sense it could be, but in the charts everyone's in competition and everyone wants to get to number one. It's like with my sister, people saying, well, is there competition? And we both say, well, yeah, because we'd both like to do as well as possible, but there's room for both of us and the other girls.
Yeah.
I mean, any girls doing well, I think, is fantastic.
Absolutely, that's a good note. Right, okay, I think Stuart's waiting for the travel again, so we'll get to that. And he's got a special surprise for you in just a second. I tell you what, you have to be as jealous as hell of me this morning, because I have seen Kylie dancing in the studio like a whirling dervish. I've never seen anybody groove this time of day so much.
That was good.
That was good. Tell everyone what that was.
That was Ben Folds 5 with One Angry Dwarf and 200 Solemn Faces.
Right. What's the album?
I said it, I didn't even trip over myself.
What's the album? Ben Folds
Album's
5.
called Whatever and Ever Amen.
And you're a big fan of them or just that track?
Them, but especially that track, yeah.
So is that your...
I warned you I wouldn't stay still when it came on.
You did. And you were right, and I'm pleased you were. Is that your getting ready to go out record?
It hasn't been for... In all honesty, I couldn't find... Lucky you had this today. I've misplaced my CD. But yeah, I used to put it on a lot.
It's one of those when you're just getting ready to go out, and you're getting dressed and all that, and you're dancing around the bedroom.
You need a little enthusiasm.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you get a chance to go clubbing and gigs and stuff without getting loads of hassle?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, if I get to go and see someone performing, it's normally made quite easy. Slip in the back way. It's made quite easy for you. Get a good position.
Yeah, we get Swampy to tunnel in for you.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the chances of seeing you doing any more acting, or is that really on hold now?
Well, hopefully you won't be seeing me do any more acting as I did in the past few years. I made very, very dodgy decisions and tasted the Hollywood style, which just left me so not only nonplussed, just embarrassed. I mean, it was awful. But what I would like to do is find a really good Australian film. There's so much good product coming from there at the moment, and do something that's almost terrifying, something that would make me have to learn about acting again, because I've done so much acting in the past 10 years that's just been more performing, having to put on different faces for different events and things like that. But to find a character and make that character work is something that I'm actually desperate to do.
Really?
I just need to find the right project.
You miss it then? You miss it?
I do, yeah. I miss the challenge of that.
Yeah, because I guess the stuff that you've been asked to do is quite sort of light and fluffy, and you're saying you want to really get your teeth into something.
Yeah. Someone put it quite well the other day. They said, I need the Nick Cave of the film world. They're going to come in and say, you know what?
Yeah.
This is the role for you.
So, good or bad character, wouldn't mind, nasty?
Wouldn't mind.
Evil? Opposite Jack Nicholson?
Evil? I don't know if I'd carry that. I could definitely be horrible, yeah. Definitely be no good.
Ben Folds 5 would have to be in the soundtrack, though, I'll tell you. That's how do you react to the Melody Maker poll? Did you see that? Voted. Let me just get this right. Hang on a minute. Let me get this right, because I've got to get this right. You were voted Melody Maker's sexiest female.
Ooh.
So there. How do you feel about that?
Look at my body language. I'm more like,
look at this. Coy.
yeah, it's very nice.
How do you feel about Melody Maker readers then? Thinking of you in those terms. Careful, Paul, what you say here. Thinking of you in those terms.
I'm very flattered, yeah. I never take those things too seriously.
Right.
Because, well, you just can't afford to.
But then again, it comes back to that credibility thing, doesn't it? I mean, I think that there is a groundswell of credibility, perhaps that you either choose not to be aware of or that you're not aware of, and I think it's obviously manifested itself in that.
Yeah. It is quite ironic. I mean, as we mentioned before, about being here, and if 10 years ago someone had said to me, you know what, you're going to appear in this magazine, in that magazine, and be in that radio station, we all would have laughed ourselves stupid.
Yeah. But that's the sign of the times, you see, breaking down those barriers. Nobody, I mean, that's happened musically as well.
Yeah.
Dance music and, drum and bass and
exactly. You can have in a half-hour run of music programming every different kind of music. It's great. It opens up so many avenues.
I mean, on a station like this, you see, 5 or whatever years ago, you'd have been the alternative, wouldn't you?
I would have been a long shot alternative here. We're going to play something you'd never expect us to play.
No, I mean, actually coming in would have been as well. I mean, okay, we wouldn't have played I Should Be So Lucky, but, I mean, there might have been something.
Would you play it if someone recorded a thrash version of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, have you got something in mind?
No.
Now, I'm going to play a Primal Scream track, which is their new single. Now, you are a fan. I can remember a long time ago a magazine, Select magazine it was, wasn't it, when you did that interview with Bobby?
You know what? It's incredible. Things like that stay with people. I meet a lot of people who, as you do, recall that that cover and that article and what he was asking me and which I won't go into. But I'm a fan of theirs, and that.
But again, you see, he's a fan of yours. I mean, I think that was the thing. I mean, yes, okay, there may have been an ulterior motive, which we won't go into. But the interview itself, actually, you made a good double act, I thought.
Yeah, it was good. It was very funny. You had them and all their goings on. Yeah. And I was just saying, oh no, I'll just have an orange juice, please. And it was a perfect situation, really. You had both extremes, and we met somewhere in the middle for a day, and
you were draped all over each other, weren't you, in this bed?
We were in bed, as it were.
As it were, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I saw some of those pictures the other day. I was going through old photos I have to select for a project, and yes, you've got Bobby Gillespie swinging his Jack Daniels on the bed, and I'm just there posing for all I'm worth, Ta-da!
So would you hit the Jack Daniels with them now if that happened tomorrow?
Well, tequila was my poison the other evenings.
There you go. You heard it first on XFM. And you also heard about Primal Scream and their goings-on XFM. There you are. Now you know. Okay, we're going to play the new single from Primal Scream. This is the excellent If They Move, Kill 'Em. Hosting the programme, and her new album is out on, let's see if I get this bit right, the 23rd of March at last, after some delay.
Months of deliberation.
Yeah, 2 years in the making. I mean, what's the chances of people actually getting to see you perform these new songs live?
Pretty good, yeah. I would love to do some live shows. I mean, whether that would turn into a tour as such, I don't know, but I feel like I should really get out and do them and incorporate some of the old, go to Better the Devil You Know and Shocked and stuff like that. Put a show together. I'd be so excited to do it, especially performing material that I've written. I've never done that before, so that'd be quite cool. And
have you totally disowned those really early songs now?
No, I've actually finally embraced them, which more or less came about from a story I have with Nick Cave, again, another one, where there was a Poetry Olympics happening at the Royal Albert Hall, and it was a weekend of various recitals from whoever. And Nick was doing some things there, and he asked if I would like to do something And I said, oh, poetry, thanks, but I haven't done that before. And then he cut to the chase and said, I think that you should recite I Should Be So Lucky. Hearty guffaws from myself, saying, you must be kidding. I've not been able to say I should be so lucky in so many years. And of course he planted the seed, and I ended up, I tried to get out of it gracefully, but it was no use.
He wasn't
I
going
was
to
there,
let you.
and I did it, and it was just incredible. It was, in front of the poetry and literary world. There I bound out on stage and say, hi, yes, I didn't expect to today, but here I am, and I'm going to recite something that I didn't write. In my imagination. And straight after that line, there was, I'm thinking, who is this audience? They won't get it. I'm going to make the biggest fool of myself. But in a way, it was like facing myself from that time and kind of saying, hey, shake the hand and say, it's kind of nice to see you again. And
it happened.
And it happened, and I had embarrassment, a lot of embarrassment for a long time, but now I kind of look back on that period, and it's thanks to that I'm here now. So I would, if I did a full concert tour, I would do I Should Be So Lucky. I wouldn't do it as you know it, but I would do it because I imagine it would be one of the first questions. If someone went and someone didn't, they'd say, did she do I Should Be So Lucky? So, oh yes, I'd go there.
That side of you, though, sort of sending yourself up a little bit there.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's a necessary
healthy?
part?
Yeah. I don't take myself too seriously anyway, so it helps with that period.
Helps you.
Got to have a laugh,
How did Nick react when you actually did it?
I think he was pleased. Yeah. He'd said to me, this is a way of facing your past and encompassing it, and he just thought it would be the best thing of the whole weekend, and he was probably right. It was so unexpected. Give me a million years and I would never have dreamt up doing such a thing. So there you go again. He gave me another experience.
Absolutely, yeah. He with the live act that you might take out. Hopefully, putting a Kylie machine into gear and getting it. Is there a lot in that, or is it just you and a few dancers?
There is for me, because I'm quite jealous of people in bands because they're ready to go at any point. They've done their album, they've done their gigs. Someone could say, look, can you do a show tomorrow night? And they could say yes. But for me, I've got to get a band together. They've got to learn at least 20 of my songs, and we've got to find a way to gel and all of that. So it's not really it's not as easy as it would be if I was in a band.
But do you think you might take a band out with you this time? Yeah,
I'd love to. Even if I could do a festival, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I did Tea in the Park a couple of years ago, and that was a really good experience.
Yeah. What was the weather like when you did that?
Oh, it was fine. I was just glad that it worked. I mean, I was on after Tricky and before Black Grape, and I was asking myself, what am I doing?
More like, how did I get here?
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't until afterwards, I was so relieved that it went well. I came off stage, went down the back stairs, kissed the ground, nuzzled in the grass, kissed the ground, said thank you. And then I realised how nervous I should have been. It was then that I was thinking, oh my God, that really,
So
I should have been a lot more terrified than I was. I think I just kind of pretended that everything would be okay, but really I was quite nervous.
You and Tricky sort of swap, stage secrets or whatever?
No.
He's an interesting character, isn't he?
Yeah, I like him. He's a good guy.
You're a fan of Finley, I believe. Is that right?
I have the CD
really?
right
all right.
here.
Okay, all right. We'll do that. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get the news out of the way, and I don't mean to detract from the seriousness of it, but let's get the news done. And after a word about the Boom Boom Satellites thing that we're doing, and then we'll play some Finley Quay. Kylie, who's been our guest this morning. Finley, of course, voted best top male at the Brits. and over Paul Weller and Elton John and a few others. So
Good lad.
good lad, yeah. Refreshing to get somebody like Finlay winning awards, which is good. And he looks so good too.
He's dead cute.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute joy and pleasure to have you in today. Thank you
Thanks
very
for having
much.
me.
No, it's been fantastic. Thank you for spending the time with us. We've really enjoyed having you along. And we were just saying how refreshingly honest you've been about
Why,
you
cheers.
and your life. Shucks. And we should say thank you to Gary Crowley, who's I've just nicked a few minutes of his programme, so thank you, Gary. Right, we've got 5 of these fantastic packs to give away, which include signed single, signed photo card and signed poster. And we thought we'd do a quick competition question based on something that you've already said.
Well, it depends if the listeners have been listening.
Yeah, so go on, go ahead. What?
All right, which festival did I say that I had played at a couple of years ago?
All right, 0171 580 2000 is the telephone number to call. The Hat Man's on his way to answer those calls. Which festival did Kylie say she'd appeared at a couple of years ago? And if you get the answer right, then you could get one of those fantastic packs signed by Kylie. Thank you very much. We're going to end with, I asked you, which track, if you were stranded on a desert island, would you choose from your new album? So why have you chosen this one?
Actually, if I was stranded on a desert island, I would probably choose a different track called Dreams, because it's a little prettier. But one of my favourite tracks from my album is called Too Far, which is the first track.
Okay. And what do you like about it particularly?
It was quite surprising. I never imagined that I would sound that way. I think other people were thinking, who is that girl? And it just was born of this kind of moment of drama, and I wrote it quickly, we recorded it quickly, and it just kind of captured the way I was feeling at that point.
Good. Well,
Which wasn't good.
Okay, thank you for that. Enjoy your stay, your 10 days off.
Thank you.
At home, and I hope the flight's not too much of a pain for you, 24 hours.
We'll
and
see.
Once again, thanks for coming in, Kylie.
All right,
Cheers.
see you.
Bye for now.
Caught up in this house, trapped my very own self in the snare of my mind. No more space in a slither. What I'd give for a deep breath inside, where the chaos has me captive, where there's no exit sign, where I fuel a stupid fire with these feelings of mine. Again, the taste that I agree with. Getting past these birds into my eat, and my silence is a comfort. Where there is no one else, where I'll be up from under and conquer myself. Open. Can I pass her with a little pain? Wanna see all of it crumble and start afresh and over again. My eyes are wide open, but I can hardly see. Will I find a way around these silent tears?
Kylie on XFM. I'm going to have to go and lie down in a darkened room now. You know that, don't you? So, thank you to Kylie. Thank you to you for your calls and for taking part in the programme. We'll do it all again tomorrow, of course. Paul Anderson wishing you a very good day, and a big thanks to Gary Crowley for letting me nick some time out of his programme too.